Hi, I'd like to talk to you about security deposits in the Cleveland, Ohio and greater areas. So the security deposit, most of you know, is collected by the landlord in order to provide security to the landlord. Now, it doesn't belong to the landlord, and so as a property management company, we always hold the deposit in a trust account. And then we dispose of that and account for it when the tenant moves out. If there's any actual amounts of money owed by the tenant, outstanding balances, unpaid bills, unpaid rent, hopefully not, work that needs done to the property, that's deducted from the deposit. And that of course, I think anybody watching this probably knows all of that. So a big question though, there are some interesting accounting nuances for security deposits in Ohio. One thing you might not have known is that if you in Ohio, if you collect a deposit over the first month's rent, any amount over the first month's rent has to be paid 5% interest on. So if your 1 month's rent is $1,000, security deposit is $2,000, you have to pay $50, I believe that's 5% of 1,000, per annum, calculated and due by the landlord on the 1 year anniversary of the time when that tenant moved in, and every 1 year after that. So as far as deductions on the security deposit, it's not always clear by law, and that's something that people need to know. The actual law says that for ordinary wear and tear, you cannot deduct. So the question is, what is wear and tear? And we have our own way of kind of determining that. But what we have found, I mean, for instance, I don't think paint should ever have any wear and tear on it. Walls weren't made to be walked on. They shouldn't be scratched. To me, that's extraordinary wear and tear when you start scratching walls and leaving marks on walls and stuff like that. Unfortunately, there are many court systems locally here that simply say, you know what, we think that house should be repainted every single time, so we don't care what happens to that paint on that wall. We don't care how dirty it is and that you can't clean it off, so you have to repaint it. We don't care if it's excessive. We don't care if it's scratched. It should have been repainted, period. Other courts have more of a prorated version of that same argument, saying, you know what, every year we believe that a certain portion of that should be used, and so they kind of do it that way, where they say, you know what, the paint should cost $2,500 to paint the inside of the house. We believe that every 3 years, the inside of the house should be repainted. So anything that would be above and beyond that prorated amount that we deducted for that first year, you could charge. So that's one way they look at it. And other cities are more lenient towards the landlord, and they allow us to deduct. So normally the way that we do our security deposit deductions, we make the deduction. If there's any kind of court question, depending on how we see the tenant, we will vary it, okay? And that's something that, when it starts to be called under contest, we'll work with the owner, we'll check with attorneys on each specific incident, and specifically what's going on around that. One of the requirements that's really important for landlords to know about security deposits in this area is that there's an absolute requirement by the Ohio state law to return security deposits and or account for them within 30 days. So you have to do all your accounting, you have to figure out what the deductions are going to be, and return that within 30 days. Now, a lot of tenants think that you should be able to do it in a day or two and give them back their full deposit after they destroy the house and things like that. But the requirement is in 30 days. So the key is you got to do it even if there is no deposit, you deducted everything. You have to make a detailed accounting, itemized as to any money you took out, even if you're not giving any money back. Has to be done in 30 days, or else they automatically, if they can prove you didn't do it in 30 days, they can automatically request and get double the deposit back. And if that's a large deposit, like a double deposit, that could be a very significant amount of cash. So definitely something to be careful about. And if you have any questions about landlording in Cleveland, Ohio, feel free to comment below or give us a call, 440-427-0123. My name's Andy Morris, and any of us here at Realty Trust Services will be glad to help you out.
Attention landlords. Are you interested in professional help, leasing, lease optioning, full service management, or acquiring more investment property? If so, please call 440-220-7300 or email us at sales@propertymanagementoh.com. To get tips, tricks, and relevant Cleveland, Ohio investment and landlord information, please visit propertymanagementoh.com/news and subscribe to our newsletter.